welcome to the GM Moving Conference. Thank you to all our performers and to the brilliant Eve Murphy from Dance to School. Give her a round of applause. So I'm Hayley Lever. I use she, her pronouns. And for those who can't see me, I am wearing a green, bright pattern top, and I am smiling because I've finally found the courage to dance, and I've also finally swum in the Keys this morning. So I am buzzing. Thank you. And that's what movement, physical activity, and sport do for me. My role is to have the courage to be the change we need to see in the world. I share the joy of an active life to inspire others. I'm Chief Executive of Greater Manchester Moving, and I live and breathe this movement for movement every day. Like you, I'm here to play my part, to lead, support, connect, and learn in our shared mission, Active Lives for All, to bring the spirit of Greater Manchester and our collective belief in equality, equity, diversity, and inclusion, to protect and nurture both our people and planet so they can thrive. We all bring ambition and pride to this work, along with curiosity and humility. An event like today, like all our work, takes more than just one person. And I want to thank the 400 people who filled in the ideas survey and told us what mattered most to them. And to all of you who've offered ideas and feedback and challenge, who you've helped to shape this day. To everyone leading, hosting, delivering sessions and speaking today, you are brilliant. Well done and enjoy yourselves. Big thank you to our young people, dancers, workshop leaders, and those behind the scenes doing the technical and media support from UTC and BComs. We wouldn't be here without our amazing investors, Sport England, GMCA, and NHS Greater Manchester. And a special thank you to our first ever sponsors, Miova, Future Fit for Business, and 3v3. They wanted to help because they believe in what this is and what it does. I've put our team at the centre of this picture, which I don't often do. But honestly, they deserve it. They have been amazing, spinning plates and delivering the goods and caring for people in the process. So thanks to colleagues here and those who can't be here for every act of support, every laugh, every hug and every word of encouragement. And finally, a big thank you to all of you, here in the room and online, for being a part of this. I hope you enjoy the day as much as I know I will. It's incredible to think that it's been 10 years since the blueprint for change that sparked this journey. We've come a long way. Movements need moments, and it's moments like today that create ripples and sparks to last the next 10 years. We have made progress, especially in times that have been volatile, uncertain, and tough, but we can't ignore the context. What surrounds us shapes us. Our economy and society overlooks and actively harms too many people in our country and region. We're doing this work in a context that puts health and active lives out of reach for too many. Since last year's conference, we've seen a million amazing moments that have taken us forward, but events have also blown us backwards and sideways. Our communities have experienced division and discrimination. Our partners and colleagues have navigated more challenges, digging deep, holding their nerve, and bringing incredible energy to their work. The context is continually challenging. Data, evidence, insight, and experience bear witness to that. Greater Manchester was reducing inactivity at nearly 3 times the national rate before the pandemic, and then we were hit hard. But we recovered twice as fast, and we've seen things stabilise, with early signs of key inequality gaps closing. That's incredible, especially given rising poverty and the complex challenges that people are facing. But stable isn't enough. If we want real change, we must shift the root causes, particularly economic inequalities, so that everyone can live well and move more. We need a thriving, voluntary, community, faith and social enterprise networks, a diverse and inclusive community sport and physical activity sector, a strong, connected public service, education and health system. And right now, there's growing alignment, locally and nationally, towards creating the conditions that this work needs. Every day, you in this room and far beyond take us further and deeper to support Active Lives for All in Greater Manchester. There are people in every neighbourhood, every single day, helping others to move, thrive and connect. That's you. That's us. Together we're making a change, and together we will continue to create change. We are pushing against the forces that drive inactivity and inequality, poverty, racism, ableism, misogyny, ageism, homophobia, transphobia, and class discrimination. We're building a future where justice for people and planet is front and centre. And that's why I hold on to hope and ambition, because that's the spirit and the tenacity that's in this room. It's real. You inspire me. So yes, let's acknowledge the challenge, but let's return to the dance. We are movers and shakers. It's who we are and it's what we do. So let's bring joy and energy to that dance today and every day. My hope for the next decade is that we go even deeper into the radical roots of this place, Greater Manchester, and its people. That we continue to nurture hope and action built on shared values, mindsets, and courageous ways of working. Each one of you has the power to help create the conditions for people to live well. So now I'm going to invite our first speakers to the stage. From neighbourhood to national and back again, they embody everything I've just spoken about. They will introduce themselves, but know this, they're a big part of why I'm so optimistic. We could have filled this panel 100 times over with people from this room. And like you, these 6 bring belief, commitment, and action. They'll be joined by our brilliant host, Aishatu Emor from GM Equals, who's helped design today's stage sessions with humour, challenge, and care. Aishatu is a joy to work with. Co-hosting with her is our Mayor, Andy Burnham, who continues to champion this mission with dedication and heart. And sore legs, you'll hear about that. So as they take their seats, enjoy a little medley of films from across Greater Manchester, showing some of the work across GM that tackles inactivity and inequalities and supports people to live well every day. Thank you.
Okay. The lights are on.
The lights are on. Morning, everyone. Should we start every Monday morning like that? I think that would be quite a good thing, wouldn't it? Kind of best way you could start the week.
It's not so bad. It's not so bad, right? Because time is what it is, I'll crack right on and go, hi, everyone. My name is Aishatu, and I am your co-host today with Andy. Like, he does other stuff as well, but this is his main gig, actually.
It is. It's my main gig of the week, for sure.
For those of you who can't see me, I'm a Yoruba woman with chestnut-colored skin, and I'm in a bright orange and pink dress and bright pink framed glasses and pink trainers. There is a thing happening, but yeah.
I can't compete.
Yeah, you can describe what you're wearing to the people later.
Well, I will. Thank you, Aishatu. Morning, everybody. I'm Andy Burnham, Mayor of Greater Manchester. I'm wearing all dark blue, and if my kids were here, they'd say, "Again, Dad," which is quite common when you get to my age. But I'm not really on message for this morning because Hayley mentioned this. I'm sort of GM unmoving this morning because I played football against Mike Sweeney's 11 yesterday, my 11 at AFC Monton. And what can I say? We were winning 2-0 at half-time is what I will say. But I'm not looking forward to the hot seat on BBC Manchester on Thursday. That's the second thing I will add. But it's absolutely wonderful to be with you all. And I mean what I say. I mean, what an amazing demonstration we saw on the stage there. You know, Greater Manchester in action, wasn't it? You know, everybody, all parts of it. Fantastic.
So, just to kick things off, because we've got these wonderful people right here, just as I've introduced myself and given a brief description of what I look like, I would like to invite our panelists to also do that. And if you could just let us know, what's your role in movement as a kickoff question when you introduce yourself? What is your role in the movement for movement right now?
We're going to share this mic. Hi, everyone. I'm Sajida. My role in Movement for Movement is to move, and it's to support people, many of whom are marginalized women from a range of different contexts. Some of them are migrants. Some of them are vulnerable because of their immigration status. Some of them are survivors of domestic abuse. Many of them are women with a range of different rich migration stories to this country. And we move together in all sorts of ways. We dance, we drum, we walk. I'm a big hiker. I'm supporting a group of women at the moment in Oldham who have multiple cancers and are looking to set up a support group. We've been doing lots of gentle movement together, so we're doing a range of different things.
Beautiful. Before you pass on, if you could just describe yourself for our...
Yes, my
audio
apologies.
listeners.
I am brown-skinned. I'm a woman. I'm wearing clear glasses. I have very big hoop earrings, which I nicked from my daughter. She doesn't know. Brown trousers, a kind of flowery, light-coloured top, a green cardigan, and what else am I wearing? A kind of red T-shirt underneath my shirt.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Naz. I'm a South Asian woman wearing a hijab, a multicoloured hijab, and I'm wearing an airy tunic with cream-coloured trousers. And I must say, my shoes are making me over 5 foot tall today. So yeah, I'm a petite woman. So yeah, my move for movement, is that the right way to say it? Yeah, right. I'm a cycling instructor. I'm also a qualified cycle mechanic, and I'm all about getting people moving in terms of biking and walking. Recently set up a not-for-profit organisation, and that's my role.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So my name's Alex Crompton. I'm a member of Youth Parliament for Wigan and Leigh, and I'm 17. I'm wearing some dark jeans with these shoes I've had for ages, and a white shirt. And you'd never find me dressing as smartly as you have today, so thank yourselves lucky. For me, I would say movement means to just put a smile on your face, really. For me, my story really with movement was a way to combat early undiagnosed ADHD in a way. So movement for me helps me calm down, get ready for the day, and put a smile on my face because I get to speak to my friends and have a great time playing rugby league. I saw some Wigan Athletic people over there as well, so you'll be happy to know I'm a season ticket holder.
Thank you very much.
I love that. That was good. So my name is Jo Platt. I am a woman. I identify as she, her. For those that can't see, I'm wearing the brightest red trouser suit. I've got a black T-shirt on, and my other half calls my trainers Spice Girl trainers because they've got a platform.
You've got Man United colours on, which is a brave move this morning.
I'm not going there. I'm not biting. And I think all my clothes, I think really important to say, they're all from Vinted. I'm on a mission never to buy new again. So everything that I'm buying at the moment is pre-loved, as we call it, and I'm going to continue to do that. For those that don't know, I'm a member of Parliament, and I represent one of the outlying towns of Greater Manchester, which is Leigh and Atherton, and Andy knows that seat very, very, very well. And as a member of Parliament, I have the privilege of sitting on the Select Committee for Culture, Media and Sport, where we can take deep dives into the issues that matter. And one of them issues for me is sports and grassroots sports, and there's a current inquiry that is going on at the moment, and we probably might talk about that later. So that for me is an important part of our constituency. It's an important part of people's health and well-being, and that's my mission for movement.
Hi everybody, lovely to see you all. My name's Tom, I'm Chief Exec at Manchester City Council. I am officially balding. I'm wearing glasses, blue shirt, greenish jacket. I'm glad to be wearing trainers today for a change. Some of you might remember I stood at that lectern about a year ago and welcomed you all to Salford because I was Chief Exec at Salford Council at the time. People have now said to me, welcome back to Salford, as I've crossed the river this morning to come back. So it's great to be back in the Lowry anyway, and part of the movement with you all. If any of you were here last year, you might also remember me confessing that I would rather have been wearing, I was wearing a suit last year, I would rather have been wearing an Iron Maiden t-shirt because I'm a heavy metal fan and an amateur drummer, as well as a fitness freak, but I toned down the fitness stuff for events like this. But I'm glad to be going to see them actually in June, July, so there's the plug for the musical tastes over. It didn't quite fit with what we were dancing to this morning, but I don't think you would have wanted to have seen a bald, ageing headbanger on the stage.
Do we get a demonstration of this at some point?
There's always
Just
there's
for the
always
sake of
next
the
year.
community, it's
we
really
could find some
essential
Iron
that we
Maiden
have an
backstage, I think.
understanding.
I did ask for the drum kit, but it didn't appear. But we'll do that next year. I am really glad, though, to be the chair of the partners board for GM Moving, which ties together kind of loads of people in this room and is an absolutely amazing piece of work to be involved in. So I'm grateful for that, because we are, part of the movement in that sense across all our agencies. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Hello, everybody. Good morning. My name's Tim Hollingsworth. I'm here as the Chief Executive of Sport England, which a role that I will hold for the next 80 days before I finish. So I'm really glad to be here today. Having started my career at Sport England 7 years ago, my first regional visit then was to Greater Manchester, and I'm really delighted to be back here today, because I love coming here for reasons that I think we will hear about as we go through this panel. I'm a 58-year-old man with a lot of grey hair that's also showing in my beard, which I'm wearing basically a uniform of a white shirt, a jacket and trousers. I have an alternate uniform for work, which is navy blue, so I'm quite glad I didn't show up in it this morning. But my trainers are the Paralympics GB Paris 2024 trainers, which I'm very, very proud to wear as a supporter of that organisation and team. Sport England, we are fundamentally the grassroots community sport and activity body for England. We fund, invest national lottery and exchequer money across the whole of the country, but we're increasingly interested in diverting most of our resources into place and understanding that it's local people and local communities who best understand how to get people moving and remove the barriers that exist. A huge part of that has been working with Greater Manchester for a decade now, and I'm really thrilled to be here today to let you all know that as we move forward with our strategy that's 4 years into a decade-long attempt to get the nation moving. It's called Uniting the Movement, and it really does understand that when we move, we're a stronger people, we're a stronger nation, and we're stronger individually. But there are inequalities in the provision of that and the opportunity for that, and our challenge collectively is to overcome it.
Brilliant. Well, we like our trainers, don't we, in Greater Manchester? And we particularly like our Adidas trainers. And we call it Adidas, don't we? We don't say Adidas. And I'm looking along, you
now.
may have won.
Clearly.
You may have won the trainer competition at GM Moving to 2025. And fancy a Southerner coming here and winning the trainer competition. We're going to have to up our game. Hayley, next year?
My mum's from Accrington and my dad's from St Helens. How does that go?
Well, you're near enough then. You've got a bit of a... You know what's going on up here. But thank you. And thank you, Sport England, by the way, who've been tremendous supporters of Greater Manchester Moving. And we really appreciate the backing that you've given us and are going to give us. Yes. Right?
Well, as far as I can control it, Andy, yes.
Right.
Right.
Shall I...
Yes,
it's
for you.
Alex, I'm looking right at you now. After that stellar introduction, we just want to kind of, get into a bit more of what you've been up to, what you want to achieve. Where do you play rugby league first?
I play at Wigan St Patrick's, which is in Scholes.
Wigan St Pat's, I know that well. Yeah, Lee Miners used to go down there and give you a...
Yeah,
Still
I got back. Funnily enough, I played him last week and we lost like 46-12. So
see what I said?
He must be checking scores.
I know my rugby league. Now, what have you been doing recently and what are you kind of most proud of in terms of what you've been up to?
Yeah, so I've been in my member of youth parliament role since about 2021 now, so it's a fair while that. I was only about 5'4" at the time when I started. My most proud achievement really came with GM Moving. We did this thing together where we found out what moving was for our borough. So we got funding off GM Moving and we ended up taking a lot of kids like kayaking, canoeing, archery, other things and other than your standard football and rugby to see what other things are available in borough for them.
Yeah, we love our traditional sports, don't we? But it's really important, isn't it, to have a range of things because everyone's different and everyone might want to try some of those things. And in our borough, because I live in the Wigan borough as well, it's not necessarily always available, is it, for everybody?
Yeah, well, we're very lucky in some sense. Like we've got Hay Hall and stuff like that. Got like Pennington Flash. There's a load of stuff in the borough. to get to, but obviously it's not accessible to everyone as well.
Yeah.
So you've got like the economic like price in a way for people, especially like who are deprived and stuff.
So in your role as a member of the Youth Parliament, and you look around the Wigan Borough, where have you seen real progress?
For me, personally,
You could say the B network, I'd accept that. But,
well, it caused me a lot of traffic at Saddle Junction, so we'll leave that for a minute.
He's a real member of Parliament, this one.
I think the real, if you talk about sporting achievements, you probably have to look at Lee Leopards as well, winning the Challenge Cup.
Oh!
I don't want to give him credit,
I
but
just
I kind
thought
of
we'd
have
get a
to.
round of applause there. But
I gave him some credit.
this is a pie eater praising
And then you also have to look at Wigan Warriors'
the
treble.
lobby gobblers, for those who know the local dialect, which is a big move.
Yeah, well, the thing is as well, having that all over the borough, rugby league is something that inspires a lot of young people. At the end of the day, it was created as a working class sport. So it's meant for people in the Wigan borough, and having the whole borough involved, winning and being at the top of the game is perfect.
Well, thank you, and we'd endorse that, wouldn't we, from here? It is, we've got an amazing sporting infrastructure in the borough, but all of the big rugby league clubs have got girls' teams, women's teams now. It is truly a sport for everybody, rugby league, isn't it?
Well, yeah, as well, you also need to look at wheelchair rugby league. It's one of my favourite sports to watch in general.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the fastest growing as well, and it's for everyone, rugby league. They have this sort of stereotype. It's for big men with cauliflower ears. It's not, because look at me.
That's rugby union.
That's a good point.
Your ears are fine if you play rugby league, don't worry about it.
But it's a sport for everybody, and I think getting as many young people involved, no matter gender, age, abilities, it's just so crucial for our game and for our young people.
So, a couple more questions. What challenges have you sort of tried to overcome, and what is still challenging for you in terms of what you want to achieve?
Well, it's the infrastructure to come to in effect, really. Like, you look at clubs, obviously, if you look back like the last 20 years, up to 100 years when the actual clubs were being built, there was only having like boys teams. Now they have like masters teams, ladies teams, wheelchair teams, and that infrastructure to allow especially young girls to play, that's a big issue. And then also it not being on a community level where you're playing against other people, things like tag rugby, which the council have started running, but it's on a Tuesday at like 12 o'clock. So.
Yeah. We've got to really go back to that sport for all ethos, haven't we? Of making sure that, one team doesn't just book out all the time. There's time for teams, women's, girls' teams, as you say. So it's fantastic to speak to you, Alex, and I'm sure everyone is agreeing. What would you finally want to say is like your kind of thing is, what immediate thing do you want to come out of today, and what do you want to try and achieve this year?
Well, obviously I've got like a good year left in my youth parliament role. The thing ends in February, like the election. I won't be re-standing. So really we're looking at...
Have you had enough of politics already?
Oh, well, the Westminster system maybe.
Well, listen, I thought you could be...
I agree.
To have a Wigan praising Lee, you obviously got the skills of flattering everybody and telling everyone what they want to hear. So, well, you could be a real politician, right? I mean, you already are.
Is there apprenticeship in that? I think...
Joe?
I think when you look at... what I'd love to achieve is the idea where everyone can get involved. So I'm doing a young person workshop later. We're going to be looking on what these next 10 years mean for our young people, what sport means for everyone, not just myself, but for everyone, because some people like walking, some people like to go canoeing, and some people even sport Lee, like I said.
Yeah. Well, you've spoken brilliantly this morning. We appreciate everything that you're doing. Alex Crompton, everybody.
Thank you. I could genuinely listen to you speak about what you're passionate about all day. I've officially entered my auntie era, and I'm starting to have young people who are also adults themselves in my life. So it's mega. Thank you so much. So, Sajida and Naz, you've already given us an intro to the kind of work you do, but it will be really wonderful to hear about a solid win in the work that you're doing, something that you're feeling really good about right now.
Well, I'll start off by saying it's absolutely incredible that we're sat here today, because the first time we met was in fact in the last conference that we had last year. I happened to just find it on Eventbrite and thought I'd go along. And to think that we are here together, it's really quite special. And I guess it's a testament to the work that we do within the communities that we serve at the moment. Coming back to probably the work that I started off a year ago, I had a vision that I would like more people to ride, and more people that come from especially marginalised backgrounds, from backgrounds similar to myself, South Asian, Muslim women, or Muslim women that feel that it's not allowed. So a few years back, I wasn't cycling at all. And the reason for that was exactly what I've said. I wasn't allowed. Culturally, it wasn't okay. And to have to overcome those barriers, 2 years ago, I trained as a cycling instructor and then a psychomechanic. And it became more and more clear to me that a lot of women and girls feel that it's still not allowed. And there's a lot of misconceptions around, religiously it's not allowed. But it isn't part of religion. It's basically people's mindsets and how they've been brought up. And that's not necessarily wrong. It's probably just, I'd say, it's the roots that are formed in the countries that some have come from, where it wasn't acceptable or it wasn't normal, should I say. And for me, it's really quite important to recognise that I feel that my life could have been richer if I was moving and cycling a lot sooner, and I've wanted to for many, many years. So it's quite special that we're here today together, and recognising that now I'm sat here not just as a delegate, but really showing and showcasing that how much there is a need for this kind of movement in our communities. There wasn't anything, and now we've created something, and that's worth celebrating.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And Sajida, I wonder if you could share then some of the opportunities that you've seen, because I met you for the first time at the conference last year, back when I was running my organization, and I've taken a different role in my community work now. So it's amazing to see all the different sort of like seeds that have been planted by different people growing into things. So I would say, what are the opportunities that you're now seeing yourself being able to take up?
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic, wasn't it, last year, meeting Naz, meeting you, and through meeting you and Naz and so many other people who are here today and other people who aren't. It's the opportunity, I think, to collaborate in order to address some of these issues around lack of access, to work with people who are really, really struggling to access the opportunities that are already beginning to make impact. And I think it's, for me, it's the opportunity to embed this notion of social justice in the work that we're doing. But it isn't just about, we want to reach this group of people, we're marginalised because of X. There is something else that underpins the work that we're all trying to do, and it's injustice, and it's the social injustices around poverty, migration. I used to work as an asylum and immigration lawyer, so it's very, very close to my heart that there are people who are the kind of underbelly of the kind of work that we are talking about and the kind of people we're trying to reach. So the collaborations means we can start addressing some of these issues in really meaningful ways. And those collaborations through people like Naz have led to me working with Beth Cragen, who's sitting right there, from NACRO's Greater Manchester Outdoor Learning. And it's meant that the people I set up Grassroots Movement with, Jenny Cotronio, who has a fantastic track record in working on access issues around widening participation for disabled people in community sport. She also worked at the BBC around the corner for some time. And Yvonne Prendergast, who's worked on social inclusion issues in a number of different contexts. So for us as a CIC and our movement as Grassroots Movement, it's about bringing to the fore social justice as an issue that has to underpin and embed everything that we do. And I'm including in that the conversations that we as a CIC are beginning to have around climate change and injustices. So the projects we're running are about reaching marginalised women and marginalised men in some instances. The work we're doing with Rainbow Haven in Gorton, the work we're doing with the Oldham, the group of women from Oldham who are looking to set up a cancer support group. And this is an issue that, you know, for women from Middle Eastern, Arabic and Asian backgrounds is a complex issue to talk about. So we're making some movement there, working with Beth on introducing navigation skills to women from diverse backgrounds, Asian, African, Caribbean, white Irish, has been absolutely fantastic to deliver and do. And that's very much about empowering women to kind of get out there and move with skills and with knowledge and with confidence, which we've seen has been so lacking in the people that we've been working with. So those are the opportunities. It's all about these really critical collaborations. And of course, funding, and we'll come to that, I'm sure, at some point. My point about funding really is it's been fantastic to be able to test ideas and try things out. And I think the lack of opportunity, actually, is to not be able to extend and scale up and expand and broaden that reach. Because funding has been so short-term, so limited, and abruptly ends. So we have these fantastic ideas from everyone sitting on my sofa anyway, you know, that just need that. It needs the confidence of the funders to invest in us.
And I can see the head nods that are already occurring. It's the worst kept secret that funding's never long term, it seems. But thank you so much. Is there a closing remark you want to make, Naz?
I was just going to say, to touch on the funding, I just want to recognise those that are supporting us.
Yeah.
I mean, GM Moving have this tackling inequalities meeting, and it is those inequalities that we're looking to address in our community. It is anti-poverty. It is missions like making sure that we have better health, better infrastructure, safer streets, safer environments for people to feel that they can come out in their communities. But it's also recognising organisations and the role volunteers play. So we have some fantastic people that come on board and see an amazing community initiative and think, you know what, I'd like to be part of that. I'd like to give my time for my community. But then it's on that same note, we need to recognise that not everything can work on the basis of volunteers. We need core people in our communities who deliver projects and recognise that the value of that. At the moment, there wasn't anything, like I said, inside North Manchester with a regular community base, which is around active travel, which is engaging people in walking and cycling initiatives. There were pockets of things across a lot of organisations, which is fantastic, but they, like Sajida said, they end abruptly. And then people are floating around thinking, what do I do next?
It's definitely a challenge that is it's not a secretive challenge at all. A lot of people recognize it, and I'm hoping some people will be able to speak to that as we continue the conversation this morning. But thank you both so much for just being here, representing, and still doing the work despite these challenges.
Well done. Absolutely. You've both spoken brilliantly. Like Alex, and you know that thing that you're speaking to about sport being, in many ways, the biggest thing we've got that is truly unifying, isn't it? I think you were speaking to that, Sajida. But to give people the opportunity, you've got to create the sense of safety, and I think that's, you know, those messages really need to be understood. And I'll turn to the people here who can help us with all of.
This wasn't planned, by the way. We didn't set up the chairs to be put this way.
And I'm wondering, in the interest of time, should we engage all three at the same time?
I think.
Power, I think.
The power couch right next to me here. So, Joe, I mean, we both have got such a deep love for Lee, haven't we? And the kind of the way we see sport in action in our community, and obviously I still live in the area. I think it is the biggest thing that brings people together. But I know everyone's ears will have pricked up in the audience when you mentioned your inquiry with the Select Committee on grassroots sport. How do we get all of the organisations in this room funded on a much more sustainable basis? Because sport isn't a nice to have at the margins. I think it's essential in every community, physical activity. Do you think you can help with that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's a huge driver of mine. And just to go back to what we have in Lee, you know, we've created sporting talents such as Ella Toone, Keely Hodgkinson, we've got Tom Aspinall, you know, these giants, but it isn't always about elite sports, and we have to be very, very mindful of that. And I think it goes, one of my big passions or drivers in this is where over the years I've seen some of our more deprived estates where funding has gone to some of our bigger clubs and they've done a 2 or 3 week football course or dance or whatever that might be, and then it goes. And then for me, you look at that and it's a look what you could have won if your parents could afford you to take you to a club on a weekly basis. And that absolutely needs to end. So for me on the committee to send that message and to have that conversation with all the experts that will be part of that inquiry, it's, you know, how can we create legacies in communities? And I think that's what I'll be pushing for.
That's the thing, isn't it? Sport is, and physical activity and just helping people to be active is prevention, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And we're in danger of cutting all of the things that keep people healthy and just protecting the NHS budget going forward. And I think the Select Committee really need to, if you could, speak to that. You know, this is the stuff that is most important to fund, in my view. I'm sure, Tim, you're...
Well, can I come in on that, Andy?
Please.
Because I think, look, Sport England exists to try and support and invest in as much community sport and activity as possible. And as you've mentioned, we've invested very heavily through Greater Manchester over the last decade to try and help create the conditions so that people can access it. But our budget, which almost everyone in this room will be mind-blowing, we've got £300 million a year to spend across all of England. But it's 14 hours of the NHS health budget for the year. So that's the difference, right?
Are you making headway with that argument, do you think?
Well, I think it's understood that the sport and physical activity agenda can be critical to preventative health. But no, beyond that, it then starts being about response and reaction rather than prevention.
See, the thing I always find...
That's a really important point.
Absolutely.
Just to jump in, but come back on this, you know, if you want people to drink less, stop smoking, or, you know, eat differently, I don't think you're going to do any of those things unless first and foremost you've got yourself in a sort of more of an active approach. And then everything becomes possible in life, doesn't it? I use physical activity like that. You know, if it just makes you feel that bit better about yourself and a bit more as though you can do something, you can meet a challenge. And it just still seems that that's not really baked into the NHS mindset.
I think it's not only that, I think it's getting everybody to understand that it can be for them. And that's the big mind shift as well. Brilliant to hear about the way in which people are thinking about how do you make it accessible, inclusive, enjoyable and fun, particularly in our schools and for our young people. The biggest single determinant of activity in our young people is whether they enjoy it. So finding ways to do that, Andy, will then hopefully unlock people to find in their individual lives, and then the policy barriers we've got to try and overcome.
Well, let's touch on school sport for a minute.
Could I just chip in very quickly with one comment? I mean, I think the biggest and most effective way, alongside what you said, to make people feel like they can take part is to support environments in which people feel welcome, safe, included, consulted. And I know the word belonging is very contentious. We've talked about this quite a lot, but there's a sense of belonging within that community. And only then can they start to think about, I can take part in something that has longevity, that will address all of those health issues that we're all concerned about.
Absolutely.
But it's creating the environment in which somebody can step into that space and say, I feel safe here. And I think some of the work I've been doing with Beth, we've been really exploring what safety means for people. You know, how do you develop even that ability to say, you know, this might just be for me, because there are people with very similar contexts to me involved in this.
And I think it's important to be able to highlight...
There's a lot of community engagement work that needs to happen to get to that next level.
I think it's valuable to highlight... Please. No, I was just going to say, I feel like it's valuable to highlight that sometimes the resource isn't just the money, it's the actual time needed. Because I have people who've been to sessions with me for over a year, and they just sort of pop in and they just have their head in the space and they don't do anything. But that crucial time comes at month 13 or 14 where they suddenly feel comfortable and they want to be there and they want to do the things. And having that part embedded in the policy or in the funding agreement or in the grant, whatever it is, to allow for the fact that, no, you're not going to have someone join the 12-week program and at the end of the 12-week program, they're going to have transformed their lives and off they pop. So there's something about looking at resource more broadly beyond just the cash, but the circumstances and the contractual obligations that people are given. But
Tom,
yes.
do you want to pick that one up in the point that Sajida made? I'll come back to your school sport in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, briefly, because there's a million strands of this we could touch on, but I think in a way Naz and Sajida are great examples. I didn't know about the bikes project, but they're great examples of how you can do exactly what GM Moving has been about for so long now, which is make connections and then build confidence in communities to really get into the broader kind of sense of benefits of physical activity for people who need it most. And I'm certain, as someone who works with our NHS, integrated care systems, all the kind of jargon around the bureaucracy of our health and care system in Manchester and in GM, that project alone will have had massive, incalculable benefits, not just on physical activity, but on mental health and confidence and a sense of exactly that kind of purpose and self-confidence you're talking about, Andy. And I think there's so much more we can do as leaders in that space. We've been arguing within Manchester GM through another group I'm involved in called Solace, which is the kind of councils group, to divert just 1% of that national NHS budget, just 1% of it into prevention activity, under which you would include investment in physical activity, sport, movements like this, would have absolutely enormous benefits nationally, and we will continue to push for that. I think the B network and that physical connectivity of places to make them more permeable, massively important. We're doing
as
lots
a city
of,
council, you've carried on funding things like free swimming, haven't you, as well?
Absolutely. So the swimming, leisure activity, the youth activity we're doing through youth zones and more besides. But I think also, and I think it kind of touches on Sajida's point about community involvement, how we do that for the next period as we redevelop town centres and those big projects. So I'm just thinking aloud, Withenshaw, we're redeveloping the whole town centre there, exactly those principles critical to that. North Manchester around the hospital. I think for GM Moving, adjacent to those kinds of schemes for Manchester and GM for the long run, the new tram stop at Sandhills, potentially, we're doing lots of work on.
Is that a bid for funding?
Yeah, again, we can give a lot of evidence to the select committee for all of these things, but I think the opportunities are limitless there, really do, and I think it's great to hear about your scheme, Naz. I'm really keen to hear more about that afterwards.
Tim and Joe, just say something about school sport, because there will be people in the audience who were part of the school sports partnerships we had many years ago, and we've clung on to them here because they were really great at building collaborative networks across a borough, some amazing people working within them. Could this current government bring them back? I personally would argue for it, because I was in the last Labour government that did bring those through. I think, could we work with Sport England to get back to where we were with school sport 15 or so years ago?
I think it's a really good thing that happened, and you can see some sort of legacy models that are still in place, and ATSA is one of them, which is Atherton Tilsley schools that do something similar from as that sort of legacy project. So you see the benefits of what happens, because within that catchment is Fred Longworth, where we've got a lot of sporting superstar curriculum, because guess what? This is what they were good at. And that has been going on now for a number of years.
And schools, sport's been pushed out too much, isn't
Absolutely. And I think you can see that difference, where you've got a school that's really restrictive because they're being told to be by government, to a relaxed curriculum to those who've basically got an interest and a talent in that. So absolutely, Andy, but I think we've got to look at the whole picture, and the schools are a huge part of that, as well as the community.
I couldn't agree more with Joe, but also Andy, to your question. Yes, something back that brings people together. Today is all about connection and collaboration and working together and maximising resource and maximising ideas and maximising the capacity. And that's essentially what the partnerships can and should be in place to do. There are three things you do that. You think about the ability to use the facilities base both in schools and outside as well, better than currently. And thirdly, can we please think about a more active day for our school kids? Basically, it's not only about sport, it's about moving, it's about finding the space in the day to move, to get people active. because actually that's the biggest single determinant of success for all of us in this room. 2/3 of this nation live an active life, which is fantastic. 30 million people a week doing what the chief medical officer defines as active. But 25% of us are doing less than 30 minutes a week. And if we can't shift that, we'll never move the dial. So whether it starts in school, make it fun, make it enjoyable and safe for people, feeling like it's for them. If it's movement like we saw on the stage earlier, that's a brilliant starting point. But at the end of the day, active schools will be the answer to a generation that moves.
Brilliant. My God.
Mic drop.
Fantastic summary. Anybody would think you know what you're talking about. And you do, because you've really helped us. Because what you've heard on the panel today is a kind of understanding now about not a simplistic view of sport, which just about the organised sort of structures, important as they are, because they are critically important. It's all of the issues that Naz and Sajida raised as well. The kind of need to have that broad offer that you were talking about, Alex. It's got to be a range of things that will capture people's interests. It's building out the school system alongside it, and everything, Tom, that you're saying about truly backing physical activity as prevention. To be fair to the NHS, Couch to 5K has been a really good innovation. But how do we really use that, and how do organisers use that in innovative ways? If you like to kind of tailor it for people from different backgrounds and communities. That might be the next chapter for us all. And I just wanted to finish on this, everybody. Live Well, which you'll have heard mention of in Greater Manchester. This is going to be a really big theme for us in the next 3 years. We want to create a new structured support system across all 10 boroughs that helps our residents live the lives that they want to live, give them the support that they need, that might be standing in the way of becoming more active. So the worries they have about debt, for instance, that is a really kind of real drag on people's lives, and it can really drag people right down, so they can't even think about dealing with some of these things. Or it might be their housing situation, so practical help with their housing situation. It might be to do with their relationship or bereavement. You know the issues. And Live Well will be about creating a structured approach in every community whereby we provide that everyday support. But active lifestyles has got to be a part of it. And my call to action to you as our Greater Manchester moving movement is to say to all of you, bring me the idea of how we hardwire GM Moving into Live Well. What are the ways that we can put it at the heart of things? Because I think everybody will need that element of support to get active alongside the other specific help that they may be getting. And what I want to get to here is a position where we can answer what Joe Platt said, that it's not just a bit of 2-week funding here or there, but we're starting to put core funding into you, our movement, so that you can do what you do every day in every community. And it's not a here today, gone tomorrow thing. It's paid for, it's prioritized, because it helps move our residents forward. And actually, to meet what the government is asking us to do, move them towards work. And I'm saying to them as part of the spending review, if we do that, if together GM gets more people into work, which I believe we can do if we had that control over employment support that is currently not helping our residents the way that it's spent, top-down, tick box, computer says no type approach. Give us that funding. Let us try something different through Live Well. And I think physical activity has to be at the heart of Live Well, an offer in every community, every single day. But you will know what's right for your community. So my call to action to you is get right close to Live Well. Bring us that idea as to how we can fund a network in every borough. Show us what your offer would look like. And I think that's how GM Moving goes up to the next level in the next period. We are saying to the government, make us the UK's prevention demonstrator. We are going to have a go at spending public money very differently, and I think we're ready to do it. You have helped us get ready to do it, but this is our moment of maximum opportunity, and that's my call to action to you at this year's conference. Bring us those ideas now, and let's take this movement up to the next level. So there we go. Yeah. Thank you. That's been a brilliant session, everybody. A really good session. Thank you so much.
Hello.
And we have one last thing to say, because I mentioned it before. and we've all seen it today, he's been a brilliant supporter of ours here in Greater Manchester, backed us from the off to make some change happen. And as Hayley said before, we really have made it happen. And the evidence of it is this full theatre, isn't it, on a Monday morning? This is what Sport England has helped us build. This is your movement as much as it is our movement, Tim. Your leadership has been phenomenal. You've been such a friend to Greater Manchester. You've been on this journey with us. Sadly, I think you're now about to step off this particular bit of your journey. But before you go, we wanted to take this moment to show you our appreciation for everything that you've done to support us. And I think Hayley has got
if we could have a
something for you.
kind round of applause. Thank you so much.
You've got the microphone one last time. Give us your parting words.
Blimey. I saw some dance on here about 6 months ago, so you're spared that. Ladies and gentlemen, all I can say is, yes, Sport England is here to make it happen for you. And if we're not doing that, we're not doing our job right. I've got colleagues in the room. We want to fund, give purpose, and then get out of the way. And I think for me, if you can spend the day today feeling connected, feeling collaborative, feeling engaged in a movement to move, where we can find ways, however it works, for people in their communities to find ways to get active and play sport and be part of teams and be part of communities, then that's the nation we want to be, a happier and healthier nation. And I really welcome the chance to be here today to say that. It's been a privilege to be the Chief Exec of Sport England, but it's time for somebody else to come on and take that particular baton. And if I can just say to Hayley personally, and you and your team at GM, and Andy, it's just a privilege to be able to work with a mayor who is just so incredibly tuned into what we're trying to do. So thank you as well. And yeah, I think we should get on.
Amazing.
The Cardinals have just elected a continuity pope. So my message to Sport England is we want a continuity chief executive. Have you got that message? Thank you. Thanks for listening, everybody. And thanks for everything that you're doing.